for being here and on time. So we're going to get started. Welcome back to our second day of school. Today is what, the 27th? The 27th of August. We're going to look at the whiteboard over here. Whenever you come in, so you'll know what we're doing for the day, our success criteria, our we can and we will and I can statements are over here on the far right of me. You'll see it says that we will complete an overview of the syllabus. So that's what we're doing today, number one. And we will begin writing about ourselves. Well, that actually changed just like right before last period, so we haven't changed it yet on the board, but we will in a second here. One of us will write it. But instead of writing about ourselves, what we're going to do is, if we have time, we're going to start a vision board. Anybody know what a vision board is? Anybody have an idea or think they heard about a vision board? Okay. Yes. What did you think it is?
It's like a board where people set up like their goals and stuff.
Great, exactly. She said it's like a board where people put things on it to put their goals and stuff like that on there, things they aspire to do. So you'll put things that you like, things that you want, things that you aspire to do, things that you want to do in your future. So it's about you. Okay, and what you enjoy or want to enjoy. So we'll start that, and then we'll continue with that tomorrow if we started today. And on Thursday in this class, we won't meet in the classroom. Instead, we will be in the library right away because we got an email later in the day yesterday that 11th grade will be getting their Chromebooks first. You know how the 9th grades were going to get theirs?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so 11th and 12th grade. And we won't be up there the whole period. That shouldn't take her a whole period to do that. But once we're done, we'll come back down and do whatever we're doing that day. But more than likely, it'll be finishing the vision board. I don't know. So we'll change that to writing. We won't be actually writing. You know, sometimes you can put a few words on the board, you know, like travel or something like that. But we won't be actually writing. We'll be getting pictures. We have about 30 magazines for the class. If you have some things at home that you want to bring to put on your vision board, you definitely can do that. But that is what we are going to be doing, okay? And that's after we're done looking over our syllabus. Senator, would you start handing out the syllabus, please? On one side, and Ms. Williams, will you hand it out on the other side, please? Yep. Thank you so much. Okay, and then if you want to look on the board, it said there are our I can statements listed there. Okay, the first one, if someone could read the first one for me, please, aloud. Will you read it for me, honey?
I can understand the information in the syllabus.
Great. Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to do is just be able to understand it. In order to read it, in order to understand it, you have to read it with me, right? Okay, so understand. I can understand the information on the syllabus. Okay? Simple task. Will you please read the second one sentence for me? Right. All it says is I can sign that I've received a copy of the syllabus. Does that mean you agree with everything on the syllabus? No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that you got your copy. Okay? So if you look at the syllabus later, it's like, okay, I got my copy. Yes, you got your copy. That's all I'm looking for. All right? Because you won't always agree with everything, but you at least know and understand what it is you need to do. Okay? And then the third sentence, will you please read it, sir? Okay, he says I can take it home and review it with my parent or guardian. Now, I can take the syllabus home. You can do it. Does that mean that you will do it? That's not my concern as much as me giving it to you to do it. So if you don't bring it back to me, sign saying, yes, my parents saw it and has no questions or whatever, that's fine. But I would like those things to happen. We want you to give us that feedback. But if you don't give it to us, that's not going to go against your grade or anything like that. It's just that it's really great if parents can know what's going on in the classroom or guardians or whoever is over you at home. And then they can sign saying, yes, I did look at this. Yes, I do understand or whatever, and bring it back to me. And if they have questions or whatever, that's a great time that they can do that. Ask us questions, send us questions. We can contact them with answers to questions or what have you. So that is really important that you take the syllabus home so that it can be reviewed. Okay? Now, we're going to get started. If there are no questions right away, did we get the attendance done?
Okay.
Okay, so Ms. Williams is going to take the attendance. you guys get a pencil or a pen or something ready, because you'll need to sign when we're done, and we'll get going with the attendance, okay? All right, so while they're getting that taken care of, guys, everybody else, if you can pay attention up here. Yesterday, this is what we did. We checked out textbooks. If you did not get a textbook checked out to you, please get that before you go today, okay? And you'll get that. There's a textbook on the corner of my desk tomorrow. Now you can get that one since it's close to you. And you can take the textbook under that desk, not this one, because it's a little ripped, okay? All right. So you'll keep those textbooks at home, those of you who are getting a textbook today. And they cost $83.17 if you ruin them. So please do not leave them in your locker so they can get bent up, the corners bent up, or something bad happened to them at home. Take care of the book. You do not need to bring it back and forth to class. We'll always have a book underneath the desk, okay? Are you guys new to the class as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a few people new to the class. And you want to write your name inside the book cover in anything but pencil, okay? First and last name, please do that now. We'll come around and double check that you've done that, okay? Want to make sure that you've done that. And yeah, keep it at home, because there will be times when you'll need your book at home, okay? For those of you who are new to the class, I am Mrs. Rembert. Some of you may know me as Miss Williams, but that's because I got married just like 2 Sundays ago. So a weekend, a couple of days ago, I got married, okay? And so it's Mrs. Rembert, okay? Mrs. Williams' name is written on the board, not because that's me, but because that's my co-teacher. You guys should know Mrs. Williams. If you don't, that's her there. And she is not like my helper, okay? She is my co-teacher. That means what I know, she knows, okay? She can help you just as much as I can help you. And then we have Mrs. Snedeker, who is our student teacher. She's here from UNI. And same with her. When I'm planning lessons, she's right there. When I'm talking about students, she's right there. She'll be right with me and Mrs. Williams, so she can help too. She's not just another body in the classroom, okay? So you have 3 people that you can depend on helping you, okay? And don't let it be like, oh, I just want Miss Rembert to tell me what to do because she's the head teacher. No, we're all the head teacher. The 3 of us are together, okay? So we'll work this out and get this together for you. All right, so that's us. And seating charts, so you're getting those situated now. And so the rest of us will just continue to go on with class, so we don't have to stop and wait for them to get their seats. Okay. All right, so with that being said, you have a syllabus, and we're gonna go over it. I have to talk a lot, like all day, and I get tired of saying the same thing over and over, so Mrs. Williams and I, as well as Ms. Snedeker when she gets a moment, we'll take turns reading this, and I'll expound on it. You know what that means? I'll make it more clear as we're going over it. So I need you to pay attention to this. This is probably the only thing we'll actually get done today, but we're going to strive to get more than this done today, okay? Everybody got something to write with? Okay, so at the end you'll need that. Also, those of you who are new, the Promethean board is on this side of the room, and we will use the Promethean board. But the reason why the room is set up the way it is because you'll have your Chromebooks after Thursday, and what's on the Promethean, you'll also have on your Chromebook. So you won't have to look over there or be able to have to see around people's head and so forth. So this is considered the front of the room this year, okay? All right. That being said, let's get going. So this is American Lit A. This is our syllabus. My name is Mrs. Rembert, and this is room 111 at East High School, here in Waterloo. The next set of literature you see there is our standards for proficiency. So those are all the standards we'll be looking at for the semester, and there are some different texts that we're going to explore, and you'll see that below the standards. Now, we will not read every one of these standards. I just want you to know one thing about the standards. When you look on the board to my right, the far board, where you see we will complete or what have you, that comes from the standards, okay? So if you take a peek at the first bullet on your standards, it says cite strong and thorough textual evidence, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's where the we will comes in. It will say we will cite strong and thorough textual evidence, blah, blah, blah. That's where those come from. Does that make sense to you? Okay, so if you ever wonder, why is that even on the board like that? It's coming from the standards, because this is what we want to make sure that you know how to do, okay, that you can be proficient at. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect at it. It means you need to be able to be proficient at it, okay? All right. So we won't read those. Instead, we'll move right along to what's below the standards, and that is quarter one. The theme focus is influence of culture. Who can tell me what culture is? What do you think culture is? Tell me what you think culture is, and like even one word. Yeah. One thing that represents culture to you.
Culture is the way of a certain group.
Okay, so the way that a group of people are influenced. Okay. The way they think, behave, all those things, right? Okay. So we'll look at the influences of culture during our first unit. And in looking at culture, we're going to have an essential question, which is, how does our culture's history, so our meaning all of us, and if it's our culture history, that means your history as well as my history, as well as your history, as well as his history, okay? So that doesn't mean all of us have the same culture history, but we may have some things in common. Now, how do those things define who we are today? Okay? So what does your cousin, brother's, nephew, mom does that affected who you are today? Okay? So anything in your background, anything from your mom's, dad's, whoever passed, how did what they did, when they did it, affect who you are today? Okay? So, turn the page. Yeah, I messed up. This could have been 2 sheets of paper. I didn't write on the back side, so we got more than 2 sheets. Please forgive me. So look at the second sheet of paper at the top. And our genre focus for the very first unit is Native Americans. Whatever we do, we always want to look at something contemporary, because have you ever learned something in history and you're like, dang, this is boring? Why are we learning this? This doesn't matter to me. So we want to always do something that's contemporary so it can relate to what happened at that time, and we can better understand why it is we're learning what we're learning. Be able to relate it to today, okay? And so we'll have the colonial period as well. Anybody ever heard of George Washington? Okay, so that was like our very first so-called president or what have you, right? So during that time period, we won't look at George Washington, but we'll look at things during that colonial time period, okay? And then we have some writing ideas. The first thing you'll do, actually I decided we're gonna do this next Tuesday, a diagnostic writing. And anybody ever heard of diagnosis? It's like when somebody finds out what's wrong with them, or what they need to get better in, okay? So a diagnostic writing is your best writing. You're going to write something, and it's going to be your best. And then when one of us looks at it, or the 3 of us look at it, we're able to see how we can better support you to get better in your writing in certain areas, okay? So we'll do that on Tuesday of next week. We'll start that Tuesday of next week. Compare and contrast essay, we'll write one of those, as well as a narrative essay, which is a CFA. And that CFA means it's a common formative assessment, which means that all the other 11th grade classes, they'll be doing that same thing. Okay, it won't be the exact same thing, but it'll be something very similar. Okay, and then we have textual evidence. Now that doesn't mean that we're going to do every one of those, because right now looking at that, that looks like we're writing 4 papers, doesn't it? We're not writing 4 papers. You see where it says writing what? In bold, before those words, it says writing what?
Yes.
Okay. So that's me, we're gonna do all that stuff. All right, I got a life. Y'all got a life? I just got married. I got a life. And if I didn't get married, guess what I would have said? I got a 12-year-old at home. There will always be something. We all have a life. We got jobs, we got family, we got nothing. We got gaming. Somebody told me, why you got a gaming chair, Ms. Williams? Because I sit down and I grade a lot. I research a lot. And I don't need my bum to be numb. So we all have lives, right? So those are ideas. We won't do all that stuff. Let's look at the next section, quarter 1, unit 1, and unit 2. We're gonna look at our speaking focus, okay? Got some people in here who don't speak too much unless I call them. But we're going to basically look at the speech writing process. It doesn't mean that you're gonna stand in front of the class and my speech is up. We won't be doing that, okay? Instead, you're going to learn how to successfully write a speech the best that you can write it so that people won't doze off while you're talking, and it'll be, pretty interesting. Not boring and put them to sleep. Like, I must be boring right now. I'll get better. And it'll be a persuasive speech, okay? So I had fun with this last year. We had kids writing persuasive speeches about all kinds of stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I see your point. Because, it was really persuasive. But before that, I was like, who cares about that? But if it's so good, you did such a great job in persuading somebody, people who didn't even think about that before, it's like, okay, maybe I'll consider it. Nowadays, it would be, have y'all parents, or maybe you on your cell phone, been getting those calls from like representatives from the presidential debate and all that kind of stuff, people running for office? Have y'all been getting those? I get so many a day. I got like 20 texts on my phone right now. This is such and such from the Bernie Sanders, the whatever. This. So they're basically, they're giving persuasive speeches, those people, as well as the person running themselves. That's an example. Let's move on. Possible text we'll look at. Native American myths from a novel. Maybe you guys have heard of this novel. It's by a person named Sherman Alexie. And the name of the novel, I walked all the way over there and I have one right here on the podium, guys. But the name of the novel is The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. Anybody ever heard of it? It was banned in the schools for a while. Right now, I think it's still banned in the junior high. But we're reading it. Can I have you guys take a peek up here? Look at this book. I'm going to flash through it. Look. All right, look. What did y'all see? Pictures, lots of pictures. Were there words in the book? There were definitely words in the book. That's not why it was banned, though. The reason it was banned is because of the language. And so, yes, there's some cussing, but there's also some stuff that is like calling people names or something. Okay? But it's real life. It's true. It's stuff that happens. And that's what makes it an interesting book, because it's relatable. Last year I had kids who never did their work. I mean, like never did work, who did their work for this book. So we're going to read this book in about a week's time period. And it won't be you reading the whole book by yourself. Instead, for example, your group, the three of you, would read chapter 1, 2, and 3. Okay? And you're like, wait, I was okay with 1, but you said 2 and 3. And your group would read 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like that, right? Like, wait, she's going nuts. How in the heck is she expecting us to read all those chapters? Well, take a peek here. Here's one chapter. I just opened to a page. Some chapters are like this. Here's the first page. Second page. It's a few pages long, right? But then you got some chapters that are like this. So some chapters are as long as like 15 pages at the most. And then you have chapters that are like this one, the very next one over. It's called Tears of a Clown. Here's your first page and your second page of the novel. Oh, there's the end of the chapter. Okay, so will there be a lot of reading? No. And if you notice, I said like 1, 2, 3, right? So you can divvy up the pages if you wanted to do that. But we'll always start in the classroom, okay? Now, we'll read that book, and it's about this kid who is Native American, and this would be our contemporary text. He's a Native American, and he had some things about his culture that made him who he was, that happened in his past that he didn't like. So he decided to make some changes. And I'll say that, and that's where I'll leave it, because it's such a good book that if I tell you any more about it, you might want to go check it out at the library. Please don't check it out. As a matter of fact, I'm going to check it out today so y'all don't get to check it out. But it's so good. Okay, so that is that book. And then the next text we're looking at is in the actual textbook, our orange one. It's called Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. Then we have Museum Indians. There are some little myths, Native American myths in the text we'll look at, like a page or two long. Then there is one called a Plymouth Plantation, and we're gonna also look at something called the Crucible. Anybody heard of the Crucible? About these ladies who were accused of, young girls accused of being a witch. Everybody heard of that? Yeah, okay. So we're gonna read that, and it's in our textbook. It's about 100 pages long. It's a play though, so it goes kind of fast, but we'll do some work with it, and that's actually the longest that we'll work on something in this class, and that should take us to around the beginning of November, end of October, somewhere around there, around Halloween time. Yeah. Okay, so then the last thing I'm gonna read is poetry. So these are the poetry pieces we'll look at. My Dear and Loving Husband, as well as one called Huswifery. Are you just joining us?
Yeah.
You can have a seat somewhere, we'll talk to you soon, okay? Sinners in the Hands of Angry God, we'll read that as well, but I already spoke about that. So Unit 2, Ms. Williams, you wanna go next? Okay.
Romantics, having contemporary, and poetry also contemporary. And the essential question is, to what extent does honesty or the lack of honesty affect individuals or relationships?
Okay, now if someone is honest, do they have to speak in order to be honest, or can they behave in order to be honest? Both, right? Okay, can it be one or the other? Yeah, it can be one or the other. So being honest or the lack of it, how does it affect an individual person, and how does it affect relationships with people? So that is our big question for that next unit. Okay, please continue, Mrs. Williams.
Possible texts, we'll be looking at reading The Crucible, which is a play, The Raven, and The Fall of the House of Usher. And some of the writing ideas would be a descriptive essay, literary analysis of the main idea. Quarter 2, Unit 3 would be speeches. The possible texts are like Scarlet Letter, The Minister's Black Veil, and The Devil and Tom Walker.
Anybody ever heard of the Scarlet Letter? You read that? Okay, you heard of it? So it's about this girl who was kind of what? Tell me about it.
There's this girl who was an adulteress, and she had a child with the adulterer.
And so she was labeled, right?
Right.
She was this, anybody know what adultery is? Okay, so she messed around on her husband, right? And so she was ostracized basically, but the guy wasn't so much, right? Okay, so that we may read that, we may not read that, but then we also have other pieces that give us the same thing that we're looking for, and that is The Minister's Black Veil. It's in our book. It's much shorter, of course, because it's not a novel like The Scarlet Letter. And then there's another story called The Devil and Tom Walker that Ms. Williams just spoke about. Okay, please continue, ma'am.
Writing ideas would be imitation poem. Anybody notice what that might be?
What's an imitation? Take a stab at it.
Yeah.
Imitation poem. What do you think that is? What might you do?
Imitate.
Yeah, imitate something. And if you imitate something, that means you're doing it what? The same or close to the same as what you saw. Great. Okay. Please continue. Heads up, guys.
Unit 4 would be dark romantics. Possible text would be transcendentalist essays, fireside poets, and Whitman and Dickinson. So we'll be looking at those essays and the poets and and writing ideas would be philosophical essay.
Great.
So this would be more like the first semester, right? Quarter 1 and 2.
All right, so now we're going to look at our attendance policy. If you were not paying attention before, you need to listen up. Attendance policy. Ms. Senator, would you read that part, please?
Students who are absent from class will need to see me or Mrs. Brumbert or Mrs. Williams, either before or after school or during MTSS to receive help with missing work. Students should first check the Google Classroom for all work missed. Students will not interrupt normal class time to ask for missing work. Students with excused absences on the day of return will have 2 days to make up work with 10% off each day that it is late after the second day.
So we're gonna stop for a second so I can clear all that up for you, even though she's not done reading it. Everything that we do in this class will be on Google Classroom, okay? So you'll be able to go there and see each day what it is that we're doing, what it is that we've done. If you missed a day, you know you're gonna be gone, or you, whatever the case might be, everything will be there. Even if there was a sheet passed out, you'll see a document even included, okay? So you can print it off yourself, or work on it on your own paper, or type it up in your Chrome, or whatever, the answer. So that will be there. Now, if you don't have that work, if you're gone for whatever reason, know that you got 2 days when you come back to get that in without a penalty. On the third day, so after the second day, it's 10% off each day that is late. So it's late those first 2 days because you didn't turn it in on time, right? But there's no penalty until the third day. So if it's 10% off each day that it's late, how many days can you have after the first 2 days to turn it in? 10 days. Will you get full credit? No, you will get 10% off each day after what day? After the second day. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you may say, oh, what about weekends? Do they count? What do you think? Yeah, why would weekends count? Yes, you still can turn stuff in, okay? Oh, I don't have internet in my house. We got a library in Waterloo, okay? You got a phone possibly that you could use. I just know one thing for sure, and that is that we have a Waterloo library. And again, it's only 2 of your how many days?
Like
10 days, okay? So get that in as soon as possible. Also, I want to take a moment since we're talking about that. Sometimes families plan trips or what have you, and you don't know, when you might be coming back, or you didn't know it's going to happen, or you want to know ahead of time, what have you. If you look in the back of the room here, you'll see a white calendar, and that is where all of us will fill in what we're doing for a month's time, okay? And so it'll be changed over the time period, so I won't wait until the 30th to change it again, but I'll try to keep a month up there, at least 3 weeks at a time, like erase a week, add the next week, like that. And so if you're gonna be gone, for example, family's gonna be leaving on September 15th, and we won't be coming back to September 21st. Okay, so you'll be able, hopefully tomorrow, I have that filled out, you'll be able to look on there and see what we'll be doing those days. And so you don't have to ask either of us what we're doing. Take your phone over there and take a picture of it, okay? Write it down, type it up in your Chromebook. You have options. Then if you have questions about it, like, I really don't know what this is talking about because these days haven't come yet, then you can ask one of us. All of us will know, okay? And if you need more understanding, just come to us and ask us that as well, okay? And if you can email us, you can come and see us in this classroom. You can find me and Ms. Snedeker and Ms. Williams. You're in 203? 305. I can never get that room number right. So 305. You can always find one of us and throughout the day and ask us, okay? All right, so that's that. Continue with the attendance policy, please.
Students who are absent due to in-school suspension will get their work before serving their suspension. Work for in-school suspension will not be granted any extensions. And then we have our tardy policy. Students will be in the classroom, not outside the door, not opening the door, at the drinking fountain, in the hall talking to friends, etc., when the bell rings. Students who are tardy will lose 2 of 5 daily participation points, and students will receive a 15-minute detention for every tardy received per building policy.
Okay, so that tells me right now, guys, you're gonna get 5 participation points for every day you're in class, okay? You have to earn those points, okay? So if you're not here, can you earn them?
no.
Okay, now, 2 of those can be taken away from being tardy, okay? But, if you, we won't start the points until next Tuesday, because that gives people time for schedules to be fixed and all that kind of stuff, right? So it won't start until Tuesday next week when we start writing our diagnostic essay, okay? And then, at the last part, did you read the last sentence?
Yep.
Okay, so class expectations, let's look at those. Before I get started with class expectations, I need you to know something. There are some things that are not on here that I don't want you to do, and so I'm gonna say those now. Please, should be a no-go, you should understand this, but some people don't get it because it happened yesterday. Please stay away from my desk. Please don't be on my desk trying to get anything, trying to figure out anything. That little blue carpet area right there, that is off limits, okay? So if you can do that, you're good, okay? Combing your hair, grooming in the classroom, putting on deodorant, spraying your hairspray. You would think those things are no-brainers, but they still happen. They've even happened since school has started this year. Okay, so please don't do those things in the classroom. Go to the bathroom. It's like nowhere from here, okay? Do what you need to do. Groom yourself before you come or what have you, but please don't start. I had a girl, and I'm not making this up. I had a girl literally standing behind another girl, braiding her hair in the classroom. Class going on. And then when she was done, so we got these hairs on the floor and on the desk and the chair, and the next class comes in. You don't know that person, right? You don't know who sat in that chair. All you know is hair is all over the place. And now I gotta come clean that up because you've been grooming yourself and your friend in the classroom. That's not okay, okay? So please don't groom yourself in the room. If you got some hygiene issues you need to deal with, by all means, guys, do yourself a favor, do everybody else a favor, and go take care of it. I am going to let you go. That's not a question, okay? If you need to groom, you need to groom. Take care of your body, okay? So that's my 2 cents before we look at that.
All right, so the class expectations: be positive and polite to all in the room to create a collaborative environment where all can learn and feel safe to take risks. Bring all needed materials on a daily basis. This might be your notebooks, folders, pencils, blue or black pen, Chromebook. Put effort into all you do and try your best at all times. Complete all work by due date or time. Be on time to class and come to class consistently. Participate in class in a variety of methods. And food will be consumed outside of the class. Water bottles with water are allowed.
Okay, we're gonna talk about this for a second. Look at number 2 where it says bring all needed materials on a daily basis. That you won't need all that stuff every day. First of all, you will not, okay? Because we're gonna have our Chromebooks, right? So you may not even need a pencil most days, but you may need. So bring something to write with. Bring your Chromebook every day and bring something to write on. I don't care what type of paper or anything like that. Just bring your stuff, okay? Also, something about we're doing our vision board starting tomorrow, right? Because we don't look like we won't have time to start today. But if you already know that your dream car is a Mercedes, then I don't have no picture of Mercedes possibly. But if you have one at home and you're like, yeah, I'm bringing my pictures tomorrow. You know what? If you come and you don't have it, are you prepared? No. So you need to bring what you want. Now, if you feel like, yeah, I want a Mercedes, but this is a picture of a car in there at least, I'm just going to use that car, then you're fine, okay? But don't expect me to have exactly what you think you need if it's what you need, okay? I got about, we have like 30 magazines, something like that. We got like 30 magazines. You can look through and find whatever you need, but if you don't find what you need there, then you will have to improvise. Otherwise, if you say, I'm bringing it the next day, and you don't, then you're not prepared, okay? Then, let's look at the last one. Food will be consumed where? Okay, so you cannot eat in here, okay? Water bottles with water are allowed, okay? Somebody said, well, can I have Sprite? Okay, you can answer that for yourself because it's written there, okay? I'm not coming around and smelling your breath to see if it smells like Sprite, but I'm just telling you that the rule says the expectation is water. And so if you sneak Sprite in here, that's your business. But please don't show me that you don't come opening up a Sprite bottle. Okay? All right. And as far as something to eat, if you have, sometimes you just might need something in your mouth, right? You can chew gum in here for one, but then don't stick it under my desk, please. But if it's like, Now Later or Jolly Rancher, some little small piece of candy, you can have that in this room, okay? But you cannot have a bag of them, okay? Just a piece of candy in your mouth. You can have that stuff, but just don't, this is not a restaurant, okay? All right, and, as far as participation, in a variety of methods, you may not be one who talks a whole lot, but if I call on you, I expect you to answer me, okay? If I say something to you, I expect you to say something back to me. I have a kid, sometimes kids doodle, and it may seem like they're not with me. But that doesn't mean I think you're not with me, because I know that some people they're focusing a different way. So if you're not looking directly at me, I'm not automatically thinking you're not with me, because I know different people learn and behave different ways, okay? So as long as you're giving me some kind of cue that you're with me, then I think you're with me. You could be looking right at me and not be with me, right? So that doesn't mean we need eye contact all the time. Last section, I think, Google Classroom.
All assignments, notes, and supplemental materials will be uploaded to the Google Classroom. A code will be given for each class section to join the online classroom. Please log in and access your student Google email account, and we will give you your passcode for the class section that you can write in your syllabus.
And that will be given to you on Thursday when you get your Chromebooks, okay?
All right, and then we have the grading policy and the component of your grade. Work for class will be 20% of your final grade. Any assessments, speeches, written papers, and the semester exam will be 70% of your grade. And your employability, meeting all of these classroom expectations that we set, is worth 10% of your grade.
In the back of the room, you'll see the classroom rules on the board above the file cabinet. It says, be on time, be attentive to the tasks before you, be prepared for class, respect others and their work, clean up after yourself. You do those things along with the expectations for the classroom, guys, that's 10% of your grade already. That would say, okay? And then the other side says disciplinary actions. I hate that part of the group, but we have to have that in order. So I'm going to give you warnings in one way or another. I've already had to contact home, guys, for somebody yesterday. I had to, yes, and take a kid to the office. This is the same kid. So contact home, yeah, already. Referral to administration. Those are the disciplinary actions that will take place in this classroom. Hopefully we won't have much or any of that. I would love to not have any of that. I'm not one of those people who write a lot of referrals, because again, what I tell y'all earlier, I got a life, right? I really just don't want to do that, because I feel like we can deal with things in a different way if we just have a better relationship. And so I'm looking forward to us having great relationships. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns right now? When you think of something, please let us know. Even if it's not verbally, write it down. Leave a note up here. Put it on well, you can't put it on my desk, can you? But leave it up here, or maybe we should have a suggestion box or something. I've had a suggestion box before. Kids used it sometimes. So we'll do that, okay? So this is our class. Welcome. I'm Mrs. Rimmer, Miss Snedeker, and Mrs. Williams, okay? All right, that's all we have, and the class is over in about 5 minutes.